Welcome, dreamer, to Evernight Stories, where night whispers become stories, and stories become dreams. Take a deep breath, and let's wander together into the quiet. Night settled slowly over the little bookshop, folding the last traces of daylight into warm pools of lamplight. A soft amber glow rested on the wooden shelves, making the gold lettering on old spines shimmer gently as if breathing. Dust motes drifted lazily through the air, moving in slow circles that matched the hush settling across the room. The scent of paper, ink, and worn leather blended into a soothing warmth, the kind of smell that made the whole shop feel like a safe harbor from the cold outside. On the counter near the front window lay a small black cat, curled into a perfect circle of softness. His name was Midnight, though most people never heard it spoken aloud. He lifted his head as the lamps hummed softly to life, his yellow eyes reflecting their glow like miniature lanterns. Stretching with a quiet, slow elegance, he slipped down to the floorboards, his paws making no sound at all. This was his favorite time of day, the twilight hour, when silence thickened into something tender. Midnight moved between aisles, with the gentle confidence of a creature who knew every corner, every creak, every resting place of this old shop. He brushed lightly against the legs of an armchair, weaving a soft trail of warmth as he passed. The radiator near the back released a low sigh of heat, and the quiet deepened in response, gathering around Midnight like a familiar companion. He paused beside a stack of books recently returned to their shelves, leaning close as if listening to the faint stories humming inside them. Some nights, he felt that the shop itself spoke in whispers, not in words, but in the comfort of its stillness, in the way its shadows held steady under warm light. Tonight, the quiet felt especially full, as though the shop had prepared itself for a moment yet to come. Midnight blinked slowly, then padded toward the front of the store, where the faintest breeze slipped under the doorframe. He sensed something different in the air, a soft stirring that wasn't part of the usual routine. It wasn't loud or sudden, just a gentle shift, like a page turning somewhere deep within the shelves. And as he settled near the doorway, tail curled neatly around him, Midnight felt it clearly. The quiet was waiting for something, or perhaps for someone. Midnight rose from his spot near the doorway and began his quiet patrol, moving with the slow assurance of someone tending a world built from stillness. Each night followed a gentle rhythm, and he kept to it faithfully. First, he circled the front tables where new arrivals sat in neat stacks, their fresh paper scent still bright and lively. He brushed his cheek along their corners, leaving a subtle trace of himself as if welcoming them into the deeper hush of the shop. Next, he wandered toward the long fiction aisle, where shelves leaned slightly with age, and the floorboards creaked in soft, familiar tones beneath his paws. Midnight paused here every night, listening to the faint wooden sighs, making sure the quiet settled properly between the rows of stories. He liked this aisle best, its warmth, its shadows, its sense of timelessness. It was the kind of place where worries loosened without anyone noticing. The shop's owner, an older man with gentle hands and slow movements, finished counting the register as midnight passed. He gave the cat a small nod, as though acknowledging a fellow keeper of peace. Midnight blinked back, slow and steady, granting his own quiet approval. As the owner tidied the last scattered books and straightened a few chairs, Midnight padded toward the reading nook near the back. The cushioned armchair there was worn soft, shaped by years of readers sinking into it at the end of long days. He hopped onto the ottoman beside it, kneaded twice, then settled. Everything felt in place. Everything felt right. And yet, beneath the familiar comfort, Midnight sensed a faint tremor in the air, not troubling, but curious. A small shift in the quiet, like an invitation waiting to unfold. Tonight, the silence felt expectant, as though the bookshop was holding its breath for something gentle that had not yet arrived. The owner moved toward the door, preparing to flip the sign to closed and lock the latch for the night. Midnight watched from his seat on the ottoman, tail curled neatly around his paws. This was the moment each evening settled fully into stillness. But tonight, just as the owner reached for the lock, the bell above the door chimed softly. It wasn't loud, just a thin, delicate ring that felt almost shy. A young woman stepped inside, clutching a worn notebook to her chest, as though it were something fragile. The owner hesitated for only a breath, then gave a gentle nod, allowing her to browse for a few minutes. She offered a tired smile in return, her shoulders sloping with the weight of a long day. Midnight perked his ears, sensing something unusual in the air around her. Not darkness, just heaviness, like a story she carried that hadn't yet found its way out. As she moved deeper into the shop, her fingers drifted along a shelf. Books rustled faintly under her touch, as if responding to her presence. It was so subtle that anyone else might have missed it. But Midnight felt the shift clearly, quiet was changing shape, softening, leaning toward her. Midnight slipped down from the ottoman and followed, his steps silent as a whisper between pages. The young woman wandered toward the reading nook, her steps slow, as though the soft air of the shop were gently urging her forward. Midnight followed at a small distance, keeping his movements smooth and unintrusive. He watched the way she looked around, not searching for a particular book, but for a feeling she couldn't quite name. She reached the armchair and hesitated before lowering herself into it, the cushions sighing faintly under her weight. Her breath trembled as she exhaled. Midnight felt the tremor ripple through the quiet, as though the shop itself recognized the heaviness she carried. After a moment, she opened her notebook. The cover was worn soft at the edges, corners bent from use. Inside were scattered fragments of handwriting, beginnings of stories, unfinished thoughts, lines scratched out and begun again. She traced a sentence with her finger, and her expression wavered between longing and uncertainty. Midnight stepped closer, slipping into the warm pool of lamplight beside her. He brushed gently against her ankle, a soft greeting offered without asking anything in return. She looked down in surprise, then smiled, a small, tired curve of her lips that seemed to soften the entire room. "Hello there," she whispered. Her voice was quiet but warm, like someone finally speaking after holding silence too long. Midnight hopped onto the ottoman, settling himself so she could see him if she wished, but not so close as to intrude. The lamplight deepened around them, gathering into a cocoon of amber. Dust motes drifted slower now, as though time itself had eased its pace to match hers. She turned a page, and her breath steadied. Midnight felt the quiet shifting again, not in alarm, but in recognition. Her story wanted to be heard, and he, in his soft feline way, had always been a keeper of quiet places where stories could rest and breathe. The lamplight above the reading nook glowed softly, warming the air around the young woman as she settled deeper into the armchair. Midnight watched her quietly from the ottoman, paws tucked neatly beneath him, tail curled in a slow, graceful curve. There was a stillness forming around them now, not empty but full, like the hush before a gentle snowfall. The warm amber light stretched across the shelves, softening the sharp edges of the room. Book spines caught the glow and returned it in muted shimmers. Gold dulled to honey, navy deepened to velvet blue. Shadows drifted slowly along the floor, as if unhurried, content to linger a little longer before night claimed them fully. Midnight blinked, his eyes two small lanterns reflecting the room's warmth. The young woman traced the edge of her notebook, fingers brushing lightly over the worn cover. It trembled slightly beneath her touch. She let out a small breath, thin, uneven at first, then watched it steady as the quiet gathered more fully around her. Midnight could feel it too, the way a cat senses weather changes, not with worry, but with instinct. Something was shifting, softening, settling into place. The lamps hummed gently, their glow deepening as though responding to her presence. Dust motes drifted upward and then slowly spiraled back down, catching the light in faint glimmers like floating embers. The air itself seemed to thicken with warmth, creating an invisible cocoon around the nook. Each breath she took blended with the gentle glow, filling her chest with a calm she hadn't expected to find tonight. Midnight rose from the ottoman and moved toward her, slipping through the lamplight like a small shadow with purpose. He paused at her feet, lifting his head slightly, as if inspecting the emotional weather she carried. Then he brushed against her ankle, a silent greeting, a quiet assurance. The sounds of the bookshop slowed into a soft, even rhythm. Floorboards released low, sleepy sighs as the building settled for the night. The radiator murmured with a steady warmth, its gentle ticking blending with the hum of the lamps. Somewhere deeper in the aisles, a book shifting on its shelf made the faintest sound, a whisper of paper resting into place. The young woman's breathing aligned with these sounds without her noticing. Inhale with the soft hum. Exhale with the drift of the radiator's heat. Her shoulders lowered a fraction, relaxing into the armchair's familiar embrace. Midnight listened as well. To him, the shop's sounds formed a language of comfort, the kind of language that needed no words, only presence. A warm mixture of scents filled the air, paper softened by age. The faint sweetness of leather bindings, cedar wood from the shelves. Beneath it all lingered the crisp reminder of winter clinging to her coat, cool but gentle, like fresh air trapped in fabric. She ran her thumb along the notebook's cover, feeling the slight give of worn cardboard. It was textured with history, old ideas, abandoned drafts, stories she had once carried with energy that had slowly dimmed. Her fingers brushed the frayed edges, grounding her in the familiar weight of something she loved but felt distant from. Midnight placed a paw on the ottoman and hopped back up, settling himself close enough for her hand to reach him. His fur was warm beneath her fingertips, smooth and steady, the kind of warmth that eases tension without asking why it's there. He lowered his head into her touch. Midnight nudged her notebook gently, then turned and padded toward the nearest bookshelf. He paused by a specific row, glancing over his shoulder to see if she followed. There was nothing supernatural in the movement, yet the air seemed to shift again, becoming more attentive, more awake in a gentle way. She rose slowly from the armchair, as though the quiet itself guided her steps. Her hand drifted along the spines of the books, feeling the subtle dips of embossed letters, the grain of old covers softened by countless readers. Midnight stood by a single volume, nudging it lightly with his head. She pulled it free. Its spine was faded, silver lettering nearly invisible. When she opened it, a small breath of dust rose, turning to tiny sparks in the lamplight. The book fell open to a page on its own. The words there spoke simply about stories waiting patiently inside people until they felt safe enough to emerge. She read the line twice, the meaning settling deeper with each reading. The quiet around her warmed. It wasn't magic in the extraordinary sense. It was tenderness, a soft alignment of atmosphere and emotion. She closed her eyes, letting the words echo gently inside her. Midnight sat beside her feet, purring in a low, steady vibration that traveled through the wooden floor. She remembered the early days of writing, how ideas had once come effortlessly, how the joy of creating had carried her into late nights filled with warmth and possibility. Somewhere along the way, that ease had dimmed. Expectations had crept in. Fear of failure had gathered like dust in the corners of her mind. The joy had not disappeared, it had only hidden, waiting for her to slow down enough to find it again. Tonight, surrounded by lamplight and wood and soft feline presence, she felt the first stirring of that forgotten part of herself. A small unfurling, a breath that reached deeper than before. She returned to her notebook, flipping back through the scattered lines. Each unfinished sentence seemed a little less intimidating now. Midnight pressed his head gently against her knee, anchoring her to the moment. Dust drifted above them like slow-falling stars, the lamplight catching each particle in a golden shimmer. The book in her hand felt warm, as if carrying the echo of other readers who had once needed reassurance just as she did. The young woman whispered a line from the page, and the room seemed to lean in softly, holding her voice with care. Her smile grew, fragile but real. A beginning, a return. Midnight curled once around her legs before settling again on the ottoman. His slow blink, an offering of trust and calm, met her eyes. She felt something inside her loosen completely. The quiet she had been guarding herself against had become the quiet she needed. Not silence, but sanctuary. And as she picked up her pen, Midnight sensed the shift in the air. Her story had begun breathing again, gently and without fear, just as the bookshop's quiet had meant for it to do. The young woman held her notebook in her lap, her fingers resting lightly on the open page. For a moment, she simply breathed, letting the quiet settle inside her the way dusk settles over a tired town. Midnight watched her with patient, unblinking eyes, sensing the soft shift taking place in her chest. She looked around the bookshop, the shelves glowing under warm lamps, the dust drifting slowly like suspended snow, the steady hum of comfort woven into every corner. Nothing here demanded anything from her. Nothing asked her to prove herself or to hurry. It was the first place in a long while where she felt allowed to pause. When she looked back at her notebook, the unfinished sentences no longer felt like failures. They felt like beginnings, pieces waiting, not judging. She traced a line she had once written in frustration, and for the first time, she smiled at it. A realization eased through her, gentle and unforced. Stories did not need to be perfect to matter. They simply needed space to breathe, the same space she had been denying herself. Midnight's purr rose softly, as if confirming what she already felt. She wasn't lost. She was simply tired, and tired things don't need fixing. They need rest, warmth, and a quiet place where they can remember who they are. She let out a slow, steadier breath, touched Midnight's head, and whispered, "Thank you." And the quiet around them deepened, holding her gratitude without asking for anything in return. The young woman lowered her pen onto the page and wrote a single new line, slow, careful, but steady. It wasn't much, just a small return to herself, yet it glowed softly under the lamplight, as if the shop acknowledged her effort. Midnight watched her hand move, his tail curling with quiet satisfaction. She touched his back gently, gratitude warming her voice as she whispered, "I think I can try again." The words were as soft as the rustle of pages, but they carried a new calm, a small light rising from somewhere inside her. Midnight blinked in response, a slow, trusting blink that felt like an old blessing. She smiled, this time without exhaustion tugging at its edges. The room seemed to brighten by a fraction, the warm air expanding as though sharing in her renewed ease. She closed her notebook softly, holding it not with frustration now, but with care. "Thank you," she murmured again, though she wasn't sure if she meant the cat, the bookshop, or the quiet itself. Perhaps all three. And in that moment, a gentle warmth rippled outward, touching everything in the little shop. A glow meant not just for her, but for whatever heart might wander through its doors next. The young woman rose from the armchair, with her notebook held gently against her chest. Her steps were lighter now, her shoulders no longer folded inward with worry. She offered Midnight a final soft smile before walking toward the front of the shop. The owner looked up from his quiet closing routine, surprised but warmed by the peacefulness on her face. She thanked him with a nod, then stepped out into the night, the bell above the door giving a faint, sleepy chime as it closed behind her. Silence drifted back into place. A deeper, more settled silence, the kind that wraps around shelves and corners like a blanket. The owner switched the sign to close, turned off all but one lamp, and whispered a small goodnight to Midnight before disappearing into the back room. Midnight stretched, his body arching gracefully before he settled once more into his nightly patrol. The shadows had lengthened into soft pools, blending smoothly with the dim amber glow that remained. The aisles no longer carried the weight of someone's worry. Instead, they held only the warm echo of a story rediscovering itself. He padded slowly between the shelves, checking each familiar corner. A gentle creak sounded from the floorboard near the fiction aisle, as if the shop were settling down beside him. The radiator released a final sigh of warmth, spreading softly through the quiet. Midnight returned to the reading nook and circled once on the ottoman, before curling tightly into a small bundle of fur. The remaining lamp cast a gentle ring of light around him, fading gradually into the darker edges of the room. It felt like the shop was dimming its heartbeat, lowering itself toward rest. Outside, the night pressed softly against the windows, not intruding but embracing. Inside, the bookshop breathed out a long, slow hush. Midnight closed his eyes, letting the quiet of the old wooden room fold around him. The stories were safe. The silence was safe, and the night was ready to keep them both. The last lamp glowed softly above Midnight, its light settling over him like a warm, drifting veil. He breathed in the slow, steady rhythm of a creature who understood the comfort of stillness. Beyond the windows, The night deepened into a velvet calm, pressing gently against the glass without urgency. Midnight shifted once, curling tighter, his tail wrapping neatly around his body. The bookshop's shelves stood in quiet harmony,